Assalamu alaikum. In today's video, we are going to discuss American-Indian Wars, which resulted into final expansion of the United States of America up to the boundaries of current day. These were fought between the European settlers of America and the Native Americans known as Indians. In one of our previous videos of the series of History of Modern Warfare, titled as American Civil War, we had discussed that after the discovery of the American continent by Christopher Columbus in 1492 with the help of Spanish king, people from various countries across the Europe settled in the American continent. As a result of the skirmishes between these new immigrants and the Native American residents, and non-immunization against the new diseases brought in by these new settlers, there occurred a remarkable decline in the population of Native Americans, and the settlers gradually turned into majority. Then these American settlers rose up against strict tax policy imposed by the colonial Britain over them, and under the leadership of George Washington and with the help of France and Spain, defeated the Britain, declaring independence of America in 1776. Hence, America came at the surface as a confederate. If you critically observe the map during the period of American Civil War, you would notice that the western portion of North America is not depicted as USA territory. The reason being, till that time, those areas were still being dominated by the Native Americans, the Indians, who lived there in the shape of tribes in various regions across Western America. These Indian tribes were kind of allies with the USA since they supported the Northern American states during their war of independence against the Britain. Even during the American Civil War, they had allied with the United States of America and enjoyed amicable terms with the American settlers. Having good relations with these Indian tribes was, however, part of the foreign policy of USA. On one hand, these Indian tribes acted as a buffer zone for USA in case of aggression by their enemies like the Britain and Spain, and on the other hand, they fought alongside USA against these external threats. However, with the improvement of United States of America's relations with the Britain and Spain during the early 19th century and mitigation of threat from these powers, USA did no longer need the support or loyalties of these Indian tribes. Rather started finding ways to get rid of these so-called uncivilized neighbors. Additionally, the growing interest of the American traders in those western tribal areas and their resulting competition with the Indians there also added rift between America and the West. The discovery of gold in that region also added Americans' interest there, which finally played the role of fuel for ignition. The biggest action of these wars took place in Dakota Territory, where American Army and the police faced stiff resistance from the Sioux tribe, led by Crazy Horse. After fierce battle at various locations in 1876, the American forces were finally able to defeat him in January 1871 and occupying the Dakota Territory. The second major clash of this war happened in Idaho Territory against Nesbar's tribe, led by Chief Joseph. After fighting with unprecedented bravery and cunningness, this tribe reached Montana from Idaho and almost reached a Canadian sanctuary before it was surrounded by the American forces and surrendered. 10 years later, in 1886, the U.S. forces caught themselves pitched in Arizona and New Mexico territories against Apache tribe led by Geronimo. Despite remarkable guerrilla tactics displayed by This tribe, the US forces were finally able to defeat them as well. US kept fighting many of these small wars even up till 1920, which resulted into killings, mass displacements and further reduction in the number of Indians. The 2010 United States Census found almost 3 million Americans who identified themselves as being American Indians or Alaskan Native, about 1% of the US population. The Canadian 2011 census found almost 2 million Canadians who identified themselves as being First Nations, about 4.2% of the Canadian population. No census exists on how many people lived in America before the arrival of Europeans, but contemporary estimates range from 2.1 million to 18 million people living on the North American continent prior to European colonization. If you like this video, you can also watch other videos of our series History of Modern Warfare by clicking on the playlist being shown on your screen. And also don't forget to subscribe our channel. Take care of yourself. Goodbye until the next video.